What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about the Miami Heat. Pat Riley, the guy that won back-to-back titles. The last team to do that was the Miami Heat before the Golden State Warriors won back-to-back. The Heat had the Heatles. LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Genius of Pat Riley to accumulate that type of talent and make them take pay cuts while still putting the right pieces in young players around them to help them compete for championships, not for 1 year, but for multiple years. Obviously, Chris Bosh went down, which was unfortunate because he was an integral part of that team. But not only that, he gave them that inside presence, but also gave them that outside and a guaranteed 20 points a game. And Dwayne Wade obviously got older and started to decline, and he don't play as many minutes as he used to. So you can't rely on him as much as you can back then because he was a franchise player. Remember when Dwayne Wade and LeBron first played with each other, they both was averaging over 25 a game that first season before Dwayne Wade started taking a lesser role and started to decline. One thing I would definitely say, though, is they're in a bad situation. A lot of people know that. The Heat people know that. This is a team that I believe have no draft picks. So they really not going to get any younger unless they go after players like Hassan Whiteside. And what I mean by that, really evaluating the talent, which I think they're already doing because they usually do. And what I mean by that, and I try to tell it to a lot of my subscribers, but this is for the people that don't know, we have an abundance of talent to where you can go to the overseas and get quality players. You can go undrafted and people will notice it and they scouted you and they glad that you went undrafted so they can give you that cheap deal. They give you that cheap deal, but not only that, they can find talent that may not be in the NBA. And even if they don't, they can go overseas and look. They can go from the undrafted and look. They can try out players in the G League and even Summer League to evaluate some talent. We've seen Tyler Johnson. We done seen players like Hassan Whiteside come from not even in the league, and then he became an important part of what they are at that time. And he has not shown up and lived up to the contract, which is unfortunate because they really needed him to do that if they really wanted to be a serious contender in the East. Now they got a lot of talent that doesn't really equal to anything significant. They don't have a superstar on the roster is basically what I'm saying, but they're committed to a lot of cap space, which really hurts them now and in the future. But if anybody can do it, it's Pat Riley. Remember, he knows the game, he knows the business, and you do want some of those contracts. So when you trade for a superstar, you know everybody's making 25 to 35 million. So you want to be able to equal up to certain contracts so you can get the player that you want, which is a superstar or franchise player. But you can't just trade a bunch of little contracts. You have to be able to equal up or go a little over to get those players. And so he had to get some type of talent. He had to get some type of people to sign the contracts, even though they are basically auditioning, because I don't think none of these players are really going to stay on this roster for the next 5 years. I think it's going to be kind of like a Boston thing where you're drafting the right type of players. Like Josh Richardson is the modern day player you're looking for. Justice Winslow looks like a bust, but he still is young and he still is athletic, long, lanky, and play those wing positions, which is a hot commodity right now. And you got guys like Gordon Dragic that even though he's not the best player, he was an all-star caliber player this season. So you have players that people will potentially want because they know what they bring to the table. They know that they can contribute to a team, and they're not mad. They're team players. Like Gordon Dragic don't care if he's the man. He don't care if he's the second option. He don't care if he's the third option. But that's good because if he goes to another team, he's not going to go there and say, I'm an all-star, I'm the best player on the team. He's just going to go in there, play basketball, and do whatever the coach needs him to do and what the team needs him to do. And that's important. And I think the Heat got a lot of players like that where they're not the guy, they're not superstars, but they can fit on a team and make a significant impact to me. So that's a good thing. But the bad thing is they have so much salary cap committed to a bunch of players that aren't going to win a championship. This is a team that's in a mediocre spot of being good enough to make it to the playoffs, but not great enough to be a contender or a championship team in the Eastern Conference. And even though the East is weak and it is a little top heavy, they can compete with a lot of those teams. But we know even in the Philly series, they was competitive, but they could not beat a team because they had more talent. But to me, when it comes to the draft pick, I think that really hurted them because you look at teams like Philly that was able to beat them. They're only going to get better from here, realistically. They got young players, but if something unless something crazy happened, this team gonna be around for a long time, and they only gonna get better, and they gonna plug in players and take them out. JJ Redick gonna be in it this year. Next minute they gonna have somebody else, and they only can get better. So they have to catch up with the timeline of the East. Is either you have those young stars that can take you to that next level, or you're going to be trying to find that superstar guy that you can trade for and try to potentially build around. I think that's going to be the tough thing. But if anybody could do it, it'd be Daryl Morey. It would be Jerry West, but it also would be Pat Riley. He has an idea. He's a man with a plan, and it might look like he doesn't have anything going on now. It might look like they're stuck in some mud. But if anybody can pull them out, pull Mickey Arison out of this mediocrity, it would be Pat Riley. I just didn't like that he didn't have any picks. Like, the worst case scenario is you pay for some picks. Like, you will either trade a lot of players to accumulate at least a decent pick, or you will at least see a player that potentially a team might not want, or they just drafting the player because they have that spot, and you can just pay for the person to come on your team, kind of like undrafted. A lot of players go undrafted that can play, that can contribute to a team, like the Wesley Matthews, like some of those guys, and you pick them up for cheap. And next thing you know, you have a guy that can potentially help your team out. And you look at the Tyler Johnsons and the Josh Richardsons and the Kelly Olynyk's. These guys are guys that aren't stars, aren't superstars, but like I said, they know their role. And these are players that people will potentially want. I won't Bam. I won't Wayne Ellington, even though he's going to be a free agent. These are guys that people will want. Only person I really wouldn't want is probably Deion Waiters coming off that injury. But even Deion Waiters at 11 million is not an overpay, or is not a terrible contract in today's NBA. Especially when you look at a guy like JJ Redick, for example, making double the money literally. Then a guy like Deion Waiters. Then you start looking at it like Danny Ainge. And I'm a Celtics fan, so these players are not on ridiculous contracts that's unmovable. And we start seeing that even like Blake Griffin was overpaid and he still was able to get traded. So nobody on this roster, probably beside Hassan Whiteside, is overpaid. Even they got Goran Dragic, who's an all-star and still 32 years old. He's only getting paid $17 million. Hassan Whiteside is the highest paid player with 23, and he's the only player that's really overpaid, but he still can contribute to a good team if he's motivated and if he wants to be great. Obviously, that comes with, wanting to be great comes with the circumstances, how hard you want to play is something that Pat Riley can't determine. All he can do is get in them and preach it, but he still has to want it for himself. And it looks like Hassan Whiteside isn't really happy in Miami, but they the team that found him and gave him a chance, and he ended up turning into one of the better players in the league, and then he quickly fell off. So I think the hardest thing looking at this Heat roster is how are we going to get better? How are we going to have a brighter future when we're locked into players like Gordon and Hassan Whiteside? And it's going to be tough to get out of that. And you're going to still need players like Josh Richardson to continue to develop. You're going to need guys like Justice Winslow to continue to develop. And it's going to be tough. And the Heat fans, they made the playoffs. They almost made it last year. But they know that they have a long way to go to get to that championship, to get to that fourth ring that they want to get to. And it's not much I can really say because they don't have enough cap space to go out there and get a big name free agent unless they trade players like Dragic and Waiters to try to package a deal to remove their contract so they can get a free agent, which is possible. But it's going to be harder to do when you don't have number one, top 10, top 5, even top 20 picks. it's hard to move those contracts unless you trade future picks, which put you in a situation that they're in now where they traded their future picks and now they're in a hole where they can't get any young talent besides going through G League, Summer League, and overseas. And all they can really do is sign veterans that want to play for a decent team under a cheap contract, or even try to get them when they get bought out from their contract. So they're in a terrible situation. But like I said, the confidence is Pat Riley knows what he's doing. He signed these contracts. He matches offers for like Tyler Johnson, and he has wings that people are looking for, 3 and D guys. And with that being said, they have some type of tradability. And Justice Winslow might and Josh Richardson, honestly, they might not even be on this team in the next 2 years because those type of guys are highly coveted. And if you can add that to a contract, like you might not be able to add a top 10 pick, but if you can add these players with that type of potential, we done seen it with New York, getting Moutier, taking back a bad contract like Brooklyn Nets with Damari Carroll. We will take your terrible contract just so we can get that pick, so we can try to get a star or a good player in the draft. So instead of them trading picks, they might have to trade a Tyler Johnson. They might have to trade a Josh Richardson and a Justice Winslow to move Hassan Whiteside, to move Gordon Dragic, to have room to be able to sign a max free agent or a star free agent in general if they cannot trade for one. But like I said, that's not as bad because they do have tradable players and players that own cheap contracts that they can potentially still get a trade target to come to Miami. They have the city, they have Pat Riley, Eric Sports is respected around the league, and if all those things add up, they might be able to get a star sooner than later. But that's the first number one priority. Find a way to get a star. And if they're able to do that, they'll be going on the right track. But you got to think about it. Miami is basically in the same situation a team like LA in. They got young talent. They got players that people want, Ingram and Kuzma and Ball, but they also have cap space to get these free agents to come. But if they don't get these free agents to come, kind of like Dallas, then you're still stuck in that we have to get a star through the draft. And that's where Miami got stuck, is they don't have those picks and they're good enough to make the playoffs, so they might not never get a top 10 pick, which makes it harder to get a star because you've taken away that option to get a star through the draft, but you also committing a lot of money to players that can potentially get you a star. But just like Dallas, you may never get that star to come. Just like LA, they got the two cap space. They got Magic Johnson. They got Rob Pelinka. They got this legendary franchise, but they haven't been able to get the star free agents for the last 5 years. They was able to get Steve Nash. They was able to get Dwight Howard. But after that, Miami and LA, these are marquee places to live. They haven't been able to get those stars to come over and commit to staying. Even with Dwight Howard, they couldn't even get him to sign an extension after he was already with them that season. So he still left. So it's tougher to get free agents. Players want to have stars already on the roster so they can team up. So getting that first domino to fall is going to be important for Miami. Getting that first superstar is going to allow them to accumulate more. But until then, they're going to be in the same race as every other lottery team, trying to draft or trying to trade or trying to find a way to have cap space to sign that first star, so that way they can build around them or try to get somebody to come play with them. And it might not look like it because the Lakers got 2 max spots, but who knows if they're ever going to fill those positions. Like I said, Brooklyn had max spots and they could never get it. Now they're trying to do it through the draft. Dallas had 2 max spots. They tried to give it to DeAndre, failed, and they've been trying to get another max star to go aside Dirk Nowitzki, and they haven't been able to do that for years. So it's teams like the Mavericks that have an owner that's committed to winning, and they had Dirk Nowitzki, and they had the cap space, and they still wasn't able to get stars to come, even with the money. In LA, they had it for years, and they opened up another spot, but they haven't been able to get stars to come to LA for years. But they do have young talent because they lost, and they was able to get them in the draft, like Brandon Ingram and Kuzma, and even getting a cheap guy like Josh Hart. But you also got to think about Lonzo Ball came through the draft. So Miami, that's one thing they're going to have to do, is try to find a way to get that star. And it's not an easy thing to do, but if anything, Pat Riley knows what he's doing. He the one that traded for these players. He the one that extended their contracts. He drafted Justice Winslow. He helped the process of developing Josh Richardson. So we're going to see if he can turn those and flip them into a star, or is he going to try to keep that balance like Danny Ainge did and try to stay above, stay competitive, but also accumulate talent that's tradable. So when the star do come up, and we've seen it with Daryl Morey getting James Harden, we're able to trade to get that player. And then after they got James Harden, they was able to get Chris Paul and Dwight Howard. So I think he's going more on that Danny Ainge, Daryl Morey thing. Stay competitive, show them that you're about winning, keep the fans coming in, and then when it's time to make that move, we have the unique pieces and we have solid players that can contribute on the team. And then, hey, once we get that star, maybe we can get another one. Check out my website, NoxusPlayground.com. And also check out my Facebook page at NoxusPlayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Click the link, it'll send you to my website. Click the link, it'll send you to my Facebook page. And let me know what you guys think the Miami Heat should do. Or do you think that they're screwed up? Some people don't think that. Some people don't think they're in the right situation. Some people don't think they cap strap is not really room for improvement. Let me know what you guys think.